The ships came without warning. One moment, the sky above Earth was empty. The next moment, it was filled with metal. Admiral Una Park stood on the observation deck of the orbital station and watched the fleet arrive. She had served in the Terran Navy for 30 years. She had seen battles. She had seen death. But she had never seen anything like this. There were thousands of ships. No, not thousands. Tens of thousands. They blocked out the stars like a curtain of iron. The smallest of them was larger than anything humanity had ever built. The largest was the size of a small moon. "How many?" she asked quietly. The officer beside her checked his display. His hands were shaking. 200,000 vessels, Admiral. Maybe more. We are still counting. Una closed her eyes. Humanity had 200 ships. 200 against 200,000. It was not a battle. It was not even a joke. It was simply math. The transmission came 1 hour later. It was broadcast on every frequency in every language. A face appeared on screens across the world. It was not human. The creature had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth that did not move when it spoke. "I am Fleet Commander Vorath of the Helian Dominion," the creature said. "I speak for the Galactic Council. We request a meeting with your leaders. You will send one representative to the diplomatic station called Horizon's Edge. You will do this within 1 day. This is not a request." The transmission ended. In Seoul, President Sun Ho-choi called an emergency meeting. The room was filled with generals, scientists, and diplomats. Everyone was talking at once. Everyone was afraid. "What do they want?" someone asked. "Nothing good," General Taiwan Shin replied. He was an old soldier with a face like stone. "Fleets like that do not come in peace." President Choi raised his hand. The room fell silent. He was a calm man, a patient man. He had led humanity through many crises. But even he looked tired today. "We need to send someone," he said. "Someone who can listen. Someone who can stay calm. Someone who will not make things worse." All eyes turned to Ambassador Doan Kang. He was sitting quietly in the corner watching everyone. Doan was 50 years old. He had spent his life talking to difficult people. He had ended wars with words. He had made enemies into friends. "I will go," Doan said simply. The next day, a small shuttle carried Doan to the Horizon's Edge station. He went alone, as requested. The station was old, built for meetings between human nations. Now it would host something very different. Vorath was waiting for him. The alien was tall, almost 3 meters. His 4 eyes watched Doan without blinking. Behind him stood guards with weapons that glowed with strange light. "You are small," Vorath said. "Your species is small. Your ships are small. Your world is small. Do you understand how small you are?" Doan did not react. He had been insulted by experts. This was nothing. "I understand," he said calmly. "Please tell me why you have come." Vorath made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I like you, human. You do not beg." "Not yet. Very well. I will tell you why we are here." He pressed a button. A hologram appeared between them. It showed a document covered in alien writing. "This is the tribute charter," Vorath explained. "Every species that enters the galaxy must sign it. This is the law. This has been the law for 12,000 years. 47 species have signed. Now it is your turn." Doan studied the hologram. "What does it require?" "Simple things. 40% of your minerals. 25% of your food. 10,000 of your people each year for service to the Council. You will also destroy your weapons. All of them. And you will accept our governors to watch your governments." Doan felt his heart go cold, but his face showed nothing. "And if we agree?" he asked. "Then you will have protection. No one will attack you. You will be part of the great family of the galaxy. You will be safe. And if we refuse?" Vorath's 4 eyes narrowed. "No one has ever refused. In 12,000 years, not one species has said no. Do you know why? Because refusal means death. We will burn your world. We will hunt your colonies. We will erase your species from history. You will be forgotten. It will be as if you never existed. The words hung in the air like poison. Doan took a slow breath. How long do we have to decide? 30 of your days. We are patient. We have done this many times. In the end, everyone signs. Everyone submits. It is simply the way of things. Vorith stepped closer. His shadow fell over Doan like a dark cloud. Go back to your little world, human. Tell your leaders what I have said. Tell them to be wise. Tell them to be practical. Tell them that pride is a luxury for the strong, and you are not strong. Doan bowed his head slightly. Not in submission, but in acknowledgement. I will deliver your message, he said. As his shuttle flew back to Earth, Doan stared out the window at the endless fleet. 200,000 ships? Enough to kill every human 1,000 times over. He thought about his daughter. She was 12 years old. She liked to paint pictures of stars. What kind of galaxy would she live in? What kind of future would humanity choose? He did not have answers. But he knew one thing: the next 30 days would decide everything. And nothing would ever be the same again. The great hall in Seoul was filled with voices. Every leader on Earth had come. Presidents, generals, scientists, philosophers. They sat in circles around the central stage, and they argued like children fighting over a toy. But this was no toy. This was the future of humanity. President Sun Ho-choi sat at the center and listened. He had not slept in 3 days. His eyes were red, his shoulders heavy. But he listened to every word. We must accept, said Counselor Mirano. She was a practical woman, known for her cold logic. The math is clear. We cannot win. If we fight, we die. If we submit, we live. Life as servants is still life. General Taiwan Shin slammed his fist on the table. Life on our knees is not life. I would rather die standing than live crawling. We should fight. Yes, we will lose. But we will show them that humans do not break easily. And then what? Miran shot back. We die with honor? Our children die with honor? Honor does not feed the hungry. Honor does not protect the weak. Ambassador Doan Kong raised his hand. Perhaps we can negotiate. Ask for better terms. Less tribute. No slavery. They want our resources, not our destruction. Maybe we can find a middle path. There is no middle path, said a quiet voice. Everyone turned. Dr. Yunji Han stood near the back of the room. She was a historian, old and thin, with glasses that made her eyes look too large. She rarely spoke at these meetings. But when she did, people listened. May I address the council? She asked. President Choi nodded. Please. Yunji walked slowly to the center stage. Her footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. I have studied history for 60 years, she began. Human history. The history of empires and colonies. The history of masters and slaves. And I can tell you this, every empire that demanded tribute believed it would last forever. The Romans believed it. The Mongols believed it. The British believed it. They were all wrong. She looked around the room at all the frightened faces. The Galactic Council has ruled for 12,000 years. They think they are eternal. They think resistance is impossible. But they have never met a species like us. What makes us different? Someone asked. Yunji smiled sadly. We are stubborn. We are stupid. We are impossible. We survived ice ages when we should have frozen. We survived plagues when we should have died. We built nuclear weapons and pointed them at ourselves and somehow did not destroy everything. We are a species that runs toward danger, not away from it. She paused. The question before us is not whether we can win. We cannot win. The question is, what kind of species do we want to be? Do we want to be survivors who lost their souls? Or do we want to be people who stood for something, even at the end? The room was silent. That night, President Choi met privately with Admiral Una Park and Dr. Jiwon Beek in a small room with no windows. These were the only two people he trusted completely. "There is a fourth option," Jiwon said quietly. She was the chief strategist, a woman who saw patterns where others saw chaos. "We do not fight. We do not submit. We do not negotiate." "Then what?" the president asked. "We simply say no. One word, no explanation. No threats. No bargaining. Just no," Admiral Park frowned. "They will attack." "Maybe," Jiwon agreed. "But maybe not. Think about it. They have done this for 12,000 years. Every species has submitted. They have never faced true refusal. They do not know how to handle it." "You are gambling with 8 billion lives," the president said. "Yes," Jiwon admitted. "But submitting is also a gamble. We gamble that they will treat us fairly. We gamble that slavery will be bearable. We gamble that our children will forgive us." She leaned forward. "At least if we say no, we gamble on ourselves." President Choi was quiet for a long time. "If we do this," he finally said, "it cannot be my decision alone. It must be everyone's choice. Every human must decide." 3 days later, the global vote began. Every adult human was asked one simple question: submit or refuse. The voting lasted 24 hours. People lined up around the world. In cities and villages, in rich nations and poor ones. Old people voted. Young people voted. Some voted with hope. Some voted with fear. But everyone voted. When the results came in, President Choi read them aloud to the assembly in Seoul. 94.7%, he said. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. 94.7% of humanity has voted to refuse. The room erupted. Some people cheered. Some people wept. Some simply sat in shock. Ambassador Do Kang stood slowly. His face was calm. "Then I know what word to give them," he said. President Choi looked at him. "Are you sure you want to do this, Doan? You will be the one standing in front of them. You will be the one saying no to an empire." Doan thought of his daughter again. Her paintings of stars? Her dreams of seeing other worlds. "I'm sure," he said. "Someone has to speak for us. Someone has to say who we are." He walked out of the hall alone. In 3 days, he would face the Galactic Council. In 3 days, he would speak one word. And that word would change everything. The chamber on Horizon's Edge was built to impress. The ceiling rose 50 meters high. The walls were covered with golden symbols from 100 dead civilizations. Lights floated in the air like small stars. 47 holographic screens surrounded the central platform. Each screen showed the face of a different species. These were the rulers of the Galactic Council. Together, they controlled more worlds than humanity had names for. Fleet Commander Voreth stood at the center, tall and proud. He had done this ceremony 200 times. He knew every word, every gesture. The new species would enter. They would bow. They would accept the charter. They would become another number in the Council's records. It was simple. It was clean. It was the way of the galaxy. The doors opened. Ambassador Do Kang walked in alone. He wore simple black clothes. No medals, no symbols of office. Just a man in dark fabric walking across a floor of polished stone. The council members watched with curiosity. This human was so small, so fragile. His life was so short compared to theirs. 100 years, maybe less. What could such a creature possibly understand about the galaxy? Dohan stopped at the center of the platform. He looked up at Voreth without fear. "You have returned," Voreth said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "I trust your leaders have made the wise choice." Dohan said nothing. "The ceremony is simple," Voreth continued. "You will speak the words of acceptance. You will sign the charter. You will join the great family of civilized species. This is an honor. You should be grateful." Still, Dohan said nothing. Voreth tilted his head. This was unusual. Most new species were eager to finish. They wanted the fear to end. They wanted to sign and go home. Human, Vorath said slowly. Does your species accept the Galactic Council's terms of protection? Doan looked at the 47 screens around him. All those eyes. All that power. All that ancient history pressing down on him like a mountain. He thought of Earth. He thought of everyone who had voted. 94.7%. Mothers and fathers. Children becoming adults. Old people who remembered wars. Young people who dreamed of peace. They had given him one word. He would not fail them. No, Doan said. His voice was calm. It was clear. It filled the chamber like a bell. Vorath did not move. I did not hear you correctly. You heard me correctly? Doan replied. The answer is no. Humanity declines your terms. Silence. Complete, perfect silence. Vorath's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. His mouth opened and closed. For the first time in his long life, he did not know what to say. On the 47 screens, faces changed. Some showed confusion. Some showed anger. Some showed something that might have been fear. This is impossible, Vorath finally said. No species has ever refused. In 12,000 years, not once. You do not understand what you are doing. I understand perfectly, Doan said. We are refusing. Then you are choosing death. Vorath roared. His calm broke like glass. We will destroy your world. We will burn your colonies. We will erase your history. You will be nothing. Less than nothing. A forgotten mistake in the story of the galaxy? Doan did not step back. He did not look away. That is your choice, he said quietly. Our choice is made. The answer is no. Why? Vorath demanded. His voice cracked with confusion. Why would you choose death over life? Why would you refuse what everyone else accepts? Are you insane? Are you stupid? Neither, Doan said. We are human. He paused, letting the word settle. You asked us to give up our freedom, our dignity, our children. You asked us to become slaves with pretty words. And you expected us to say yes because we are small, because we are weak, because we are afraid. Doan smiled. It was a sad smile, but also a proud one. We are afraid, he admitted. We are very afraid. But fear does not control us. We decided who we wanted to be. We decided to stand. Even if standing means falling. Vorath stared at him like he was looking at an alien creature. Which, of course, he was. This will not save you, Vorath said. But his voice was quieter now, uncertain. Maybe not, Doan agreed. But it saves something more important than our bodies. It saves who we are. He bowed slightly. Not in submission. In farewell. Thank you for meeting with me, Fleet Commander. I will return to my people now. We will prepare for whatever comes next. He turned and walked toward the doors. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Wait, Vorath called out. Dohan stopped but did not turn around. You truly believe you can resist us? 200 ships against 200,000? Dohan looked over his shoulder. We do not believe we can resist you. We believe we must. There is a difference. He walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the 47 screens exploded with noise. Every species was talking at once. Some demanded immediate attack. Some urged caution. Some simply sat in stunned silence. Vorath stood alone at the center, watching the doors close behind the small human in black. For 12,000 years, the ceremony had been the same. The new species submitted. The charter was signed. The galaxy continued. But today, something had broken. A single word. 2 letters. 1 syllable, no, and somehow that tiny word felt heavier than all the ships in his fleet. The capital world of the Galactic Council was called Thesan Prime. It was beautiful in a cold way. Towers of crystal reached toward purple skies. Rivers of light flowed through streets older than human civilization. But today there was no beauty in the council chamber. There was only fear. High Arbiter Melith stood before the assembled leaders. He was ancient, even by council standards. His species lived for 10,000 years, and he had seen most of them. He had guided the council through wars and plagues and crises of every kind. But he had never seen the council like this. They said no, someone shouted. A primitive species with 200 ships said no to us. This is an insult. We must destroy them immediately. And make them heroes? Another voice argued. If we attack, we prove them right. We prove that we are tyrants. We are tyrants, a third voice said. That is how empires work. Destroy them and be done with it. But what if we fail? Silence. The speaker was Elder Sophis, the oldest member of the council. He rarely spoke. When he did, everyone listened. What do you mean, fail? Melith asked carefully. I mean exactly what I said. What if we attack and we fail? Impossible, Vorith said. He had returned from Earth space, confused and angry. Their fleet is nothing. We could crush them in days, could we? Sophis asked. Tell me, Commander. In all your years, have you ever fought an enemy who was not afraid to die? Vorith hesitated. All enemies are afraid to die. These humans are not, Sophis said. You saw it yourself. Their ambassador looked at you without fear. He knew he might be starting a war. He knew his species might be destroyed. And he said no anyway. That is madness, Vorith said. No, Sophis replied. That is something far more dangerous. That is faith. They believe in something more important than survival. And you cannot kill faith with ships. The council fell silent. Melith turned to the intelligence division. What do we know about these humans? Tell us everything. Analyst Corvith stepped forward. He was young by council standards, only 500 years old. But his mind was sharp, and he had spent the last month studying Earth. Humans are strange, he began. Very strange. Their planet nearly killed them many times. Ice ages, plagues, volcanoes, by all logic they should have died long ago. But they survived. Again and again they survived. He pressed a button. Images appeared in the air, wars, disasters, cities burning. They also nearly killed themselves. Many times. They invented weapons that could destroy their entire world. Nuclear weapons. And then they pointed these weapons at each other. For decades they lived under the shadow of total destruction. And? Melith asked. And nothing happened. They did not destroy themselves. They did not surrender to fear. They simply continued. They built families. They created art. They dreamed of the stars. All while knowing that any moment could be their last. Corvith looked at the council with something like wonder. Humans have a concept that does not translate well into our languages. They call it spite. It means doing something harmful to yourself just to harm your enemy. They will burn their own house down if it means their enemy burns too. That is insanity, someone said. Perhaps, Corvith agreed. But it is also terrifying. How do you threaten someone who welcomes death? How do you negotiate with someone who values pride over life? Elder Sophis nodded slowly. Now you begin to understand. This species is not brave. Bravery can be overcome. This species is stubborn. They are unreasonable. They are impossible. He looked around the chamber at all the frightened faces. The question is not whether we can destroy them. We probably can. The question is, what happens next? Far away, on Earth, humanity was preparing. Admiral Una Park stood in the command center, watching screens filled with data. Every ship was moving into position. Every weapon was being loaded. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But they would fight anyway. Status report, she said. All 200 ships are ready, Admiral. Planetary defenses are online. Ground forces are mobilized. Una nodded. 200 ships. Against an empire that had ruled for 12,000 years. It was like fighting the ocean with a cup. Dr. Jawan Beek entered the room. She looked tired but determined. "The backup project is complete," she said. "Tell me about it." "We have launched 1,000 probes into deep space. Each probe contains everything. Our history, our art, our music, our languages, our science. Everything humanity has ever created." Jiwan paused. "If they destroy us, these probes will scatter across the galaxy. They will drift for thousands of years. Eventually, someone will find them. Someone will know we existed. Someone will remember." Yuna felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "A message in a bottle." "Yes," Jiwan said. "They can kill us, but they cannot make us silent. We will haunt them forever." On Thiessen Prime, High Arbiter Melith stood alone on a balcony, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, a small blue world was waiting. Waiting to fight. Waiting to die. Waiting to be remembered. He had ruled for 3,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species submit and prosper under council protection. But tonight, for the first time, he felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. Not fear of humans. Fear of what humans meant. Fear that the old ways might be ending. Fear that a single word from a small species could break 12,000 years of order. "No," he whispered to himself. "Such a small word. Such a heavy word." And somewhere in the darkness, 11 other species were starting to whisper the same thing. 3 months had passed since the word. The Council fleet still hung in Earth's sky like a cloud of metal. 200,000 ships, waiting, watching, but not attacking. Every day that passed without fire was a victory for humanity. And every day that passed was a wound to the Council's power. Fleet Commander Verath stood on the bridge of his command ship and stared at the blue planet below. He had received orders: attack, wait, negotiate, attack again. The orders changed every day. The Council could not agree on anything anymore. "Commander," his aide said. "Another message from Thiessen Prime. What do they want now?" "They want you to attack." Vorath laughed bitterly. "They wanted me to wait yesterday. They wanted me to negotiate the day before. Tomorrow they will want something else." He looked at Earth, such a small world. Such a stubborn people. "If I attack now, millions of humans will die. Maybe billions. Their fleet will fall in hours. Their cities will burn in days." "Yes, Commander." "And then what? We rule over ashes? We govern corpses? What is the point of an empire that destroys everything it touches?" His aide had no answer. Far below, on Earth, President Sunho Choi received a secret message. It came from a species called the Velith Collective. They had been servants of the Council for 3,000 years. The message was short: "We are watching. We are learning soon." Similar messages came from other species. The Morith Federation. The Indari Union, names humanity had never heard, reaching out in the darkness. "They are waking up," Ambassador Doan Kong said. He was sitting with the president in a quiet room. Both men looked older than they had 3 months ago. Both men had not slept well since the word. "Because of us?" President Choi asked. "Because of the word. For 12,000 years, everyone submitted. Everyone believed resistance was impossible. We showed them it was possible. We showed them that you can say no and still exist the next morning." "We have not won yet," the president said quietly. "No," Dolan agreed. "But we have not lost either. And that is already more than anyone expected." On Thiessen Prime, High Arbiter Melith called an emergency session. The council chamber was filled with angry voices. Everything was falling apart. "The Velith Collective has missed 3 tribute payments," someone reported. "The Morith Federation claims their harvest failed. They cannot meet their quota. The Indari Union says their workers are sick. Production has stopped." Melith knew these were lies. Everyone knew. But what could they do? Send fleets to punish every disobedient species? Fight wars on 100 fronts? "This is the humans' fault," Vorath said. "If we had destroyed them immediately, none of this would have happened." "Perhaps," Elder Sophist replied. Or perhaps this was always going to happen. Perhaps we were always one word away from collapse. What do you mean? Sophist smiled sadly. Empires built on fear only work as long as everyone is afraid. The humans stopped being afraid. And now others are learning that fear is a choice. Melith stood slowly. He was tired. So very tired. Send a message to Earth, he said. Tell them we want to negotiate. Real negotiation. Not tribute. Not submission. Something new. This is weakness. Someone shouted. No, Melith replied. This is wisdom. The old ways are dying. We can die with them, or we can find new ways. The message reached Earth one day later. Admiral Una Park read it in disbelief. They want to negotiate? After everything? They have no choice, Dr. Jawan Beek explained. If they attack us, other species will rebel. If they retreat, they look weak. Negotiation is their only path forward. President Choi made the decision quickly. We will meet them. Ambassador Kong, you will represent us again. Doan nodded. He had already said the hardest word. Whatever came next would be easier. The negotiation took 6 months. It was difficult. Both sides had grievances. Both sides had pride. But slowly, carefully, they built something new. The Treaty of Seoul was signed on a space station between Earth and Mars. Humanity did not join as servants. They joined as partners, equals a new voice in a changing galaxy. And they were not alone. The Velith Collective publicly left the Council the day the treaty was signed. We have been silent for 3,000 years, their leader announced. Today we find our voice. The Morath Federation followed. Then the Indari Union, then 8 more species. The old council did not collapse in fire. It simply faded away, replaced by something better. A true assembly. A gathering of equals. Different species, different histories, different dreams, but one shared understanding. Freedom was worth fighting for. 1 year after the word, Admiral Una Park stood before a memorial on Earth. It was a simple monument, white stone under blue sky. Some people had died in the small conflicts of the past year. Not many, but enough to remember. She read the inscription carved into the stone. They asked for everything. We gave them one word. Below it, in 100 human languages, was carved a single syllable, nitrogen monoxide. Doan Kong stood beside her. His hair was grayer now. His face had more lines, but his eyes were calm. Do you think it was worth it? Una asked. Doan thought about the question for a long time. I think about my daughter, he finally said. She is 13 now. Last week she told me she wants to be an explorer. She wants to visit other worlds, meet other species, see the galaxy. He smiled. Under the old way, she would have been a servant. A number, a tribute. Now she can be anything. She can dream. He looked at the sky where ships from a dozen worlds now flew in peace. Yes, he said. It was worth it. 1 word, 2 letters. The heaviest thing we ever said. And the most important. The sun set over the memorial, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the message probes continued their journey, carrying humanity's voice, carrying humanity's story, carrying one small word that had changed everything. No, not a rejection. A beginning,